Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and we've got a special treat tonight. We're going to be playing some Star Wars using HyperspaceD6, and the game master for this game is going to be my good buddy Chad down there. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to him to get us started on this game. Chad, take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. This is pretty amazing. I'm going to be quite honest, because having some friends playing some Star Wars, I can't pass this up. But thank you very much for allowing me to play this game on your channel, guys. This is Star Wars Resonance. It's going to be a three-parter, and I am super excited to get started. So let's just dive in. All right, let me pull this up. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a surviving Jedi Sentinel, KUNA PAVAN, is tasked with protecting an important relic. The forces of the Empire, sent by Grand Admiral Thrawn, gather swiftly around him. KUNA calls out with the Force for any surviving Jedi aid. Jedi from across the galaxy have heard this echo and are en route via a ship known as the SIREN. The siege has begun as the Inquisition moves to investigate the Temple of Dissa and what secrets the Jedi may be hiding. So, as we open up, the crawl rolls forward. The immense black of space hangs there for a brief moment. And then we pan down to a seafoam green planet. And we hear the echoes of three ships. As they pull out of hyperspace. You are currently in hyperspace, on your way to your destination. Matt, we'll start with you. Could you please describe your character? And since you are the owner of this ship, could you describe the ship that is currently in hyperspace?
Squidask Sue goes by Squid. Started as a joke, a sort of bullying phrase used against him and his appearance, but he adopted it, took it as his own, and turned it into a term of endearment. And he does appear squid-like. He is a Quarren, native to the planet Mon Cal, and he has sort of mottled brown skin that always appears slightly moist, as if he is just begging to be underwater again. His face is draped with a set of four tentacle-like growths that operate almost like a beard, with his mouth in the center. He's never seen without a pair of welding goggles upon his head, as well as the various tools of his trade, that being a ship's mechanic, draped on the belt and the bandolier, on the data pad attached to the gauntlet on his wrist. And at all times, he is accompanied by Pitt, his droid, who right now is folded up on his back, almost like a backpack, his arms sort of draped over. Squid is moving through the corridors of this ship, the SIREN. It is a YT-2000 Carillion light freighter. It has the distinctive sort of tunnel cockpit of the YT series, but unlike the YT-1300, the cockpit is set directly in the middle of the forward mandibles, giving it a little bit more of a sleek sort of hot rod appearance. But it is still a hunk of junk. And Squid is currently trying to keep it together as it hurtles at light speed through another dimension, through the swirling blue of hyperspace. And so he runs through the corridor with a spanner in his hand and ducks his head into the cockpit and says, how close are we?
Who would most likely have taken second in command on this ship? Okay. Well, if no one wishes to take it, I think Nara would perhaps be second in command, or what I could do, if you'd like, Karen, I can also play an NPC if you'd like, and we can just, Matt, you and I can work that out. Yeah, okay. So I believe, Matt, Squid has a second in command that is aboard this ship. Let us say that he or she is probably someone you would have cared about enough to take on this journey with you.
I'd actually say it's probably another droid.
Okay, perfect.
I love in The Mandalorian, there's a droid who's a pilot, and I really like that idea. And so this droid, let's say that it's like an astromech looking droid, maybe like an R4 model with like the conical sort of upper portion, but it's just half of it. It's just the top half that's like sort of bolted into this weird rig, like in the pilot seat, so it can't leave the ship, but it just stays there in the cockpit, sort of revolving around, and it doesn't have arms for the flight yoke, and so it interfaces with the ship's computer and the astrogation computer and everything with the little like sonic screwdriver looking thing that all our units have, just sort of interface directly with the computer, piloting the ship that way. I imagine that it's probably not the best pilot in terms of the maneuvers that it can pull. It's essentially just an astromech droid that would be pulling, co-pilot duty in an X-wing, essentially. But it fits the bill for this. So I'll say that it's an R4 unit, and I call him, I don't know, what's a cute name for like a pilot droid? Somebody else jump in. What's that?
I've been putting in the chat AC3, like Ace.
Oh, Ace.
But you could even do like, you could do R4C3, which is still like race.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call, he's Ace. So I duck my head in to the cockpit and say, how close are we? And I imagine Ace's little domed head spinning around. And I say, well, give me fair warning before you drop out of hyperspace. I'm gonna need to be on hand to make sure our engine doesn't fall out the back. And I'll go back down the hallway.
And he'll just keep this thing lumbering. Let's go while we're still in hyperspace. It's going to be very quick. But does anyone else wish to introduce their character before we get to the destination? What else would you all be doing on the ship?
I imagine that we see a figure who's sitting cross-legged in the middle of one of these kind of extra spaces in the ship for moving cargo. And he's sitting with both of his feet kind of pulled over the tops of his knees in a meditative pose, and is kind of resting his hands on his knees. You can tell by his frame that he's younger, that he's not fully developed into his body yet, but he's still fairly wiry and muscular for a teenager. And his head is completely shaved into kind of this short stubble all over, including the braid that should be right behind his right ear. And he's just sitting with his eyes closed. Though the rest of his demeanor is kind of calm and relaxed, his shoulders kind of sloped. His face is kind of pulled into a tight concertation, like this kind of contorted kind of almost pain.
I imagine that Talar Nish Togruta, like this like deep reddish, rusty colored skin, would be sitting, if it's okay with you, Jeremy, in the same room as this young Jedi. He's just sitting like in one of the chairs, just kind of like hands on his legs, just sitting up straight, looking off as if into nothing, just like at the wall. But his eyes will be closed as well. Would it be apparent on, especially to someone sensitive with the Force as Talar Nish, that sort of unease that the young Jedi would be feeling?
I would absolutely believe so. Yeah. I feel like, especially at your stage, you would probably sense that uncertainty.
Talar will open his eyes after a time and kind of like look around as if like seeing the room for the first time after feeling it for a while. And he'll look down at this young Jedi. At this point, are we associated? Like, do I know your name? I don't know how long that we've been here.
So my headcanon was that you guys had probably been a part of the ship for at least a couple of months, if not maybe 1 year. Very, very short period of time.
He'll just look down. Are you well? I sense a bit of an unease. Does our destination trouble you?
No, it's not the destination. It's I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't do this. He opens his eyes kind of in a flash and stands up, kind of disappointment, like now apparent all over his body. He kind of knocks something off of like a nearby flat surface and kind of goes clattering across the room.
I imagine there's like this frustrating lack of like contentment as Tyler will like grab the thing you knock over with the Force, like as it's falling, and then like put it back up before it can land on the ground. It takes control, focus to master meditation. It is no easy feat. Many fail many times before they learn.
I could do it before. It was never easy, but I could at least do it before. Now, no, I can't. I can't. How much longer do we have to be on this ship?
Will not be much more time. There is an opposite in meditation, a paradox. The harder you try to grab it, the more it slips through. You cannot force yourself to do it. You cannot hold on to it with a clenched fist. You must simply allow it to wash over you. I like say as if this means anything or like provides any actual useful advice, but to him it's just like, duh, of course it's what you do.
Like we allowed the dark side to wash over all of us because we sat there and did nothing. Like that?
Talarnish's face will go down for a moment. And he'll pull down part of the robe that comes over him. Will there be this like huge like array of scars like hidden just under it? Not all of us sat and did nothing, young one.
That's not what I meant. Look, I'm really frustrated and upset right now. I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry for. Everyone who walks the path that we do experiences frustrations, failures, wishes to be better. It's the way. Many of us look as if we're composed, but I assure you, when things are challenging, everyone has difficulties. There are days where it's difficult for me to muster meditation still. You do not need to be ashamed of that.
I'm just so tired of not being able to do anything about this. This is going on all around us, and there's nothing that we can do.
It's not nothing. We might not be able to change the entire galaxy in a day, a week, a month, perhaps even years or in our lifetime. But we do not sit idly and watch. We're on our way, and the more that we can affect small change, that change adds up. And perhaps sometime, it might be soon, it might be far into the future, things will be different, at least a little bit. And as long as that continues on, and someday things will be better.
Yeah, someday. He's going to leave.
So as the two of you conclude your very deep discussion of what it means to be a Jedi, you all sort of hear that, again, Ace kind of pinging, and he kind of sets not an alarm, but he's letting everyone know, like, we're getting we're getting pretty close to where we need to go. We need to get strapped in and ready to land.
I will, as I'm moving through the corridors, I would find Nara. Where would she be?
I think Nara has spent a lot of this time kind of in a room off to herself. And when she's not sitting and meditating herself, she is actually training with her own weapons. And you would find her doing such right now, working up a sweat, as it were, in one of the bigger, more emptier rooms. Just a space that she can let loose.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably even though this is a cargo for the most part, it's a cargo freighter. I can imagine there would probably be one space where maybe Squid has made a retrofitted a Jedi dojo maybe in here to a certain degree, right? Like where he can kind of practice, but that's up to you.
Yeah, I think that, there's a fairly large cargo hold on the ship, but there's not really any cargo in it right now. So aside from some sort of like Durasteel crates, like in crash webbing in the corners, there's this somewhat large cargo hold that we've sort of been using as a dojo. Squid never uses it. You have yet to see, even if you've been with him for a year or more, you have yet to see him ignite his lightsaber. He hesitates to do so at all times. And so as he comes around the corner and sees you, Nara, and do you have your blade like ignited out as you're training?
I think not in this place, in this enclosed area. I think she would just be, I think in fact she's probably just practicing right now with a very long stick.
Yeah.
Like almost a staff, yeah.
Yeah. So I would come around the corner and maybe you even like are doing a move and I sort of like come around the corner and have to like sort of dodge out of the way of it.
It's like stops right by your face, like your cheek.
Yeah. I sort of like have my hands up and I go, I was coming to tell you that we're coming out of hyperspace. I didn't know you'd take it so hard.
Well, you shouldn't sneak up on a person.
Sorry.
It's time, you say.
Yeah, Ace tells us we're going to be dropping out here soon, so we should probably strap in. Not sure what we're going to find.
Yeah, that's good news, but well, maybe it's good news. At least the journey is over. It's been kind of crowded.
Yeah, we're kind of at max capacity right now, I have to admit, but we're making do. I saw Javik and Talar on the way over here. Javik seems like he's got cabin fever pretty bad, so I think it'll be good to get everyone off the ship for a bit.
Yeah, his that aura that kid puts out, just I gotta tell you, puts me on edge.
That's fair.
But, yeah, helps me to work this out. But I'll be looking forward to getting off this ship. Nothing against your ship, but I need some space.
No offense taken. It's a hunk of junk. I know that. And I would head up to the cockpit where Ace is piloting and take my seat in the co-pilot chair, sort of take the controls, get ready to come out of hyperspace.
Okay.
I imagine like this, like very eerie, like you're used to it at this point, the sensitivity of a master, but Talar will like come and sit as if he had been listening to that conversation, whether or not he actually heard you through the force or just like had a sense for these things. He won't say anything. He'll just sit down like in the seat next to you and just kind of nod understandingly.
Awesome. As we kind of thud out of hyperspace, for lack of better terms, you obviously there's this the ship comes to that like floating stop as the hyperspace sort of drops out. And the three ships that I had described earlier, you now realize are Star Destroyers. As you come in out of hyperspace, their shadows alone are just daunting. And they kind of loom over this planet in a half semicircle formation, like a semicircle formation, one at each corner or one at each pole, kind of looking down on the planet. And it's up to you how you guys want to do this, but you can either attempt to get to the planet as is and possibly risk being seen, or you can try to go in stealthily and avoid contact with these these Star Destroyers.
I was actually gonna say I'd love to try and basically mask our transponder signal from the Star Destroyers. We're a fairly small ship, and so I'm not
Yeah.
worried about us being seen visually, but if we get within radar range, I don't want them to be able to spot us. So
Gotcha. You
uh,
got it.
I imagine that I've got a bit of a stash of stolen Imperial transponder codes that I got from some less than savory friends back in the day. I'd like to maybe pull one of those out and use it if I could. And I can make like a sensors check or whatever you want me to do for that.
Yeah, and I think while you're doing that, I think the door to the cockpit opens and Javik comes in. Is there something going on? He kind of looks up, like out of the cockpit, to see these Star Destroyers. Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a situation, but I'm gonna try and take care of it here.
All right, so please roll me your first roll of the night. Here we go. I do need you to roll your sensors, please.
Okay, I'm not great at this, but I'm also not terrible. Could I potentially have Ace help me on this and gain another die to the check if I basically pull his expertise in?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
That's
So
totally fair.
I've got my little data pad on my gauntlet, and it's flipped up, and I sort of like hand the helm back over to Ace, and I'm clicking on the data pad, and I go, Ace, I want you to broadcast a wideband static to try and jam their comms for like 15 seconds. And while he's doing that, I'll try and jam the sensors.
Warp, 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 warp. And he'll attempt to jam
Cool.
along with you. Make that,
So
that simultaneous broadcast.
That's going to be 10 total on the roll.
Okay, so let me take a look. I believe that will work.
There's sample target numbers below the
Yep,
skills.
that's what I was looking for.
Cool.
So yes, that would work. So for the sake of it, you are now, those transponder codes are helping you. Matt, what kind of transponder code do you think you put out? So what ship would they assume you guys were if they were to see you on the radar?
I want to make us look, for all intents and purposes, like a TIE squadron, like a wing of TIEs, basically out on patrol. So when we pass through their sensors, it'll just look like a patrol of TIEs coming through.
Fantastic. So you have done so.
Great. So I do that, and I sort of you see my hands are sort of shaking, and I go, see, no problem. Hey, you hired me for a reason, right?
As you've done this, you're fairly confident that everything has gone according to plan, and you will arrive unharmed at the planet. The camera pans upward to one of these 3 Star Destroyers. Grand Admiral, was there supposed to be a TIE fighter patrol? A patrol, you say? Interesting. Where at? Just below our third Star Destroyer. Keep an eye on it, but do not fire. It could very well be our own. But for now, keep watch. As you see the camera sort of move into place, you see this tall, blue-skinned man dressed in a very regal white vestment with his pins and his hair slicked back and his red eyes piercing into his crew. Grand Admiral Thrawn is aboard his Star Destroyer, the Chimera, as you have, for now, evaded his detection. But he is aware of you. Matt, you are making the Siren is making its way down to Dissa. And Dissa, as you break the atmosphere, fly in through the clouds, and it opens up, you see this beautiful, lush, tropical landscape. This palm trees as big as Endor, but with sands like as beautiful as some of. Remind me, I'm trying to remember planets, but like sands as white as Tatooine, right? So we're same sort of thing, but it's a lush, beautiful landscape. But you can see pockmarks of flames, fire, things that are occurring around in the vicinity of this village, like of this planet, as you're coming in. And you know that there is a signal coming from this planet. That's what you've been following this whole time. So you can go wherever you'd like, but you know that the planet, like that your ship is guiding you kind of to this specific area that looks like a limestone cliff. Just solid white sandstone, beautiful. But as you get closer, and as your group gets closer, you start to see it. Those 3 Star Destroyers sent stormtroopers out. So there are like not masses, but definitely like pockets of stormtroopers that are definitely going through this forest and chopping down the trees, moving things around, trying to also find this Jedi signal.
I see this through the canopy of the cockpit and sort of point, and I look back, and I think I look at everyone, but my eyes settle on Master Talar, and I say, a lot of stormtroopers down there. We can try and set down someplace quiet. What do you think?
They must have some handle on the signal as well, if they're sending out troopers to look. And he'll kind of like glance up just towards past the cockpit above them. With 3 Star Destroyers, there won't be any shortage of troops either. Anyone that we kill, they can send 1,000 more to come after us. It'd be best if we're not seen, if we're not found, for as long as we can possibly manage it. The moment they have eyes on us is the moment that we're done. If you want to fight an entire battalion, a Star Destroyer's worth of stormtroopers, you're welcome to recommend that as a path, but I don't think it's wise.
Master Windu could do it.
No, couldn't. Stories of the past are exaggerated. He's a mighty warrior, but no Jedi can take an entire Star Destroyer down by themselves.
All right, fine.
I can try and set us down someplace quiet, keep us under cover. There's going to be TIE patrols too, I'm sure. And if they spot the siren, well, we're going to not have a ride out of here. Chad, I'd love to be able to, like, I don't know if I want to use, like, the sensors of the ship or just fly around a little bit, but I want to try and find, like, you mentioned that there were, like, cliffs and, like, outcroppings and stuff. I want to try and find something that I can, like, set the siren basically inside of and have it be, if TIEs fly over, they won't be able to see the ship, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially if there's like a lot of big trees. I imagine there's a tree line too that'll help to mask.
Totally.
Like somewhere on the edge of one or both.
Yeah, just something like that would be great.
So here's the thing. You've been getting this signal, but it's just been kind of like a, for the most part during your journey, it has been a kind of like a blip, just like a sonar. Boom, boom, boom. All right. But now, as you've entered this atmosphere, you all kind of, especially, I mean, I imagine that Taylor probably feels this. But Matt, I think Squid would feel it too. There's this pull in a direction. No words are said, but you can feel that pull in that direction. And you kind of go toward the south side of this limestone outcropping. And it has these two columns that actually make almost like a compass-like circle that has somehow been carved out of this limestone over time. So the plateau kind of hangs up just above, but there's like this circle right in the center. And then trees kind of cover that front part. Just the tops of the canopies cover the front part. So you could land there if you'd like, but you definitely feel a draw toward this place.
Yeah, I sort of spot this through the canopy. Well, hey, that might do, and kind of point to it. Almost looks like a landing pad.
That should work well. The longer we're in the ship, the more chance we have of being seen by the radar, which is much more effective than their eyes. We should try to land quickly.
Yeah, Ace, cut the sublights. We'll come in on repulsors alone. And the engine just sort of dies down and the ship gets really quiet. And we sort of like float towards it just on the little repulsor thrusters under the ship. And I'm going to try and, well, I'm going to let Ace do it. I'm going to let him sort of drift the ship into the landing circle.
All right. So obviously Ace does not have arms to navigate everything. So he's not super stable. But
yeah, he's not the best pilot, but he's better.
He's not the best pilot, but he slides this hunk of junk, and you hear kind of the bottom of the YT kind of scraping against that limestone, kind of like when a plane opens up the landing gear but comes down a little too hot. What? He thinks he's done awesome. He's like, yep, I'm the best. And you're like, son of a gun.
I pat his little dome top, ping ping, and say, "Treat yourself to an oil bath while we're gone, and don't let anything happen to the ship."
And for you hear this like as the cockpit, like as the hangar kind of opens, and you are allowed to step out into the planet of Dissa.
I look to Nara and Javik and Taylor, these people, these Jedi who have been aboard my ship for several months now, as we've been tailing this signal. And I say, any idea what we're gonna find down here?
Not much of anything.
So we do know, Chad, that this is like explicitly a Jedi signal. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can tell. Like you can tell when there's like that dark, ominous feeling that a Sith place would give off. I feel like the Jedi Force would give off like a more hopeful, a more open, peaceful feeling to you, more protective.
The signal is distinctly a Jedi signal. I can feel a pull from the Force to this place. Sure, there will be something here.
Hopefully someone. And I think with that, Nara would put the hood of her cloak up over her head, kind of almost hiding the horns that are surrounding her face. And looking at Master Taylor, would kind of just nod and then start heading down the gangplank.
Javik kind of pulls on the kind of robes that he wears over his kind of folded clothes, and it's similar to the brown robes that he would have worn as a Jedi, but the sleeves have been removed, and on the back there is a large Jedi symbol that has been hand painted into the fabric, and he puts that on over his shoulders and pulls his hood up as well and follows in a huff.
Squid is the last to disembark. He sort of pats Pit on his back, and there's a little from the droid as it sort of is in deactivated mode on his back. And there's this there's like a holster hanging next to the gangway, and there's this strange looking blaster in it that almost looks like it can reconfigure. And Squid grabs that blaster and belts it along with the rest of his tools. And he doesn't have any robes. He doesn't have a cloak or a hood. In fact, he looks like he's not a Jedi at all. He looks like he's just a ship's mechanic, which suits him just fine. But as he grabs this blaster and straps it on, he sort of gets this odd feeling, and it's a feeling he hasn't had for a very long time. And he swears that he can hear like lightsabers igniting and screams and blaster fire, and he sort of like shakes his head, eases out of breath, and then calls over his shoulder, "Don't leave without us." And there's maybe a from Ace in the cockpit, and I go down the gangway after the rest of my comrades.
Awesome. So yeah, as you all have kind of come out of the ship, you notice that this area feels overwhelmingly peaceful. Whereas you were panicked before on the ship, there was some sort of ominous feeling from the Star Destroyers here in this little canopy, this little space. There is a peace. And as you begin to look around and your feet kind of move across the sandy limestone, I would like one of you, whoever would like to give me a is there, Matt, help me out here. Is there what do I need to roll? Okay, nope, never mind. I found it. Found it. Can I get one of you to roll me a sense check, please?
I'm quite good at that.
Yeah.
Nobody else is.
I am also so. But it's
Yeah,
up
no,
to-
both of you can roll. That's perfect. I'd actually like both of you to roll because maybe one of you will roll higher, and then that person will get some extra special stuff.
Squid is not good at anything beyond fixing ships, so you guys have at it.
Okay. Well, he can stay over on the ship then.
So I'll end up at a 15 all up.
Well, that's going to be high. Okay, so I just want to make sure this right. I've got 3D in sense, so I roll 3d6, one of which is a different color, right?
Correct.
So I got 16.
And then-
Okay.
Usually, I think you need to note whether the special die comes up as a 6.
Does the
A 1 or a
special
6, yeah.
Yeah, 1 or a 6.
No, it was a
Otherwise,
5.
it just counts as normal, and then there's additional stuff if it's a 1 or a 6.
All right, cool. So, Nara is the first to sort of feel this pull. As you've walked out onto this limestone, you feel it, and it's like this draw toward this, not a cave, but it's a large slab that just seems to jut out of the ground. But there's nothing predominantly on it. It just looks like a random slab. But you feel something.
And how high is it?
It's like, keep in mind, you've landed. You're still covered by the trees. This thing is now going above the trees. But it shows nothing of note. It's just a solid slab of limestone.
Nara would turn to Taylor. I am sensing something here. And she would point towards the slab and start to walk forward towards it.
Okay. As you walk forward, Nara, you get very close. And the closer you get, you start hearing things. The sort of playful banter of children, the warm call of a mother to a child, a master to a Padawan. There's just something that is warm about this. And you go to touch it. And when you do, the limestone changes color. tell me a small memory of your former master, please.
Remember training and being taught moves and having a sparring one day. And I felt like I was winning, that I was finally, getting the edge on my master. And I feel this joy as I go to take this the strike, the finishing strike. And just as I do, I find myself flat on my back and my master behind me. And I am awestruck at how quickly he moved from in front of me to behind. And he says, as with a chuckle, "You've got to be faster than that, my little one." And with that, he helps me up again. And I set my feet in position and we start again.
Wonderful. So the artwork you see in front of you is a young Padawan girl. That girl is placed in a pose with her lightsaber. What color is the lightsaber?
It is blue.
The blue begins to emanate across the limestone, this beautiful white canvas that is now being painted upon. As you see this, Taylor, what is your reaction?
He felt the same sort of pull to this thing, the force kind of guiding curiosity as it tends to do. But as he sees the young Jedi approach this thing and sees this painting begin to sprawl as if from her hand as she reaches for it, his eyes will just have like the slightest flick of, at first, concern, and then seeing, at least so far, nothing harmful or dangerous or that would give them away. Will shift from concern to curiosity and amusement as he sees the like shifting pattern form this image, and he'll just walk up beside Nara, looking at the slab and not at her, just kind of letting his presence be there, kind of watching over this strange design.
As you get close, Taylor, you have probably trained many Jedi. I'm not sure how many. But as you get close, you still have that same warm feeling, that same peaceful feeling. Please, if you could, describe to me a moment where you were training a Padawan.
The circumstances are far from ideal. This is not the place he wants to be training this young person. But during the Clone Wars, every person is needed. Every man must be at their station, and that includes Jedi in some cases, especially a master such as Talar. They're at an encampment. You can see like clone troopers going all around, tending to various duties and like preparing his base camp. And Talar is like sitting, one eye kind of monitoring the action going across the other, looking down at this young human Jedi or Padawan, a Jedi to be. Have to focus. You can't let all these things, all these people distract you.
But it's too hard.
Nothing worth it comes easy. Now you pay attention, and like kind of snap as like this young Padawan will be like looking at the clone troopers, setting a ship up over that way to kind of draw his eyes back. I want you to look at me and listen. And I mean it, really, listen. This place while we're here might not be safe for long. If anything happens, stay close to me. I need you to promise me that.
Okay. Okay, Master Taylor. I will. But what if they come? What then?
Keep your focus, young one, and your calm. The Force has guided you here so far, and I have as well. Neither one of those things will be leaving you here today, or as long as we're here. Trust in me here, but more than anything, trust in the Force. The sense of it that you're growing to understand. It will guide you.
He
Now
seems.
sit down.
Yeah. He sits down very calmly. He's sort of like he has his lightsaber ready, but it's not lit. He was expecting more sparring, something more, because he very much, I think, like Javik, is a more aggressive sort of learner, and you are a very patient man, and he is not. But he sits down in that cross-legged fashion that you've taught him, kind of puts the lightsaber down in front of him, and takes
The
a
greatest
breath.
weapon a warrior has is calm. When the battlefield erupts, it's chaos, it's rage, it's pain, everything that a Jedi must seek not to be. It will be more of a trial than anything that you've experienced. And in that moment, as the storm goes around you, you must be the eye in the center, the calm point that keeps a clear head. It is the only way that we can be effective. People will be looking to us. They will depend on us. Now put that lightsaber away. You won't need it for now.
As you say this, Taylor, and you are close to this obelisk, another painting begins to emerge from the Force. And again, it is a young Padawan, a young boy this time, now faced in the center of this obelisk, holding his hands up in a left to right fashion with a lightsaber unglowing in a ring of yellow. As it hangs there, he sits in that cross-legged fashion, kind of bowing his head to the wisdom of his master. So these things are happening, and you notice that now, with the second painting being attached to this obelisk, you hear this as it sort of shifts the canvas, just a quarter turn. By now, I imagine that maybe Squid and Javik have also seen this undertaking.
Is this Is it like a key?
I'm not certain. The power of the Force is very strong here.
How did you do that?
He'll say something that I imagine you've heard so many times it has to be maddening. It was not me. It was merely the Force. But this time he'll mean that genuinely, that like I didn't do this.
There's two more blank sides. Do we? And he kind of looks like questioningly to Squid.
Squid is standing back, maybe even behind you, Javik, and he just sort of shakes his head. It's all you, kid.
Okay. He kind of like wipes the palms of his hands on the front of his the front of his breeches, and then takes a deep breath and steps towards one of the blank sides of this obelisk.
Do you extend your hand?
If he saw that the other two had done so, he would mimic what they did.
Taylor did not have to, I think. But in your case, I believe you would have to. Because
I feel kind of compelled to reach out and touch it.
Yeah. Just
okay.
I think just from how young you are, it's like that. Sure. I don't believe it until I feel it, you know? And so yeah, Jeremy, please, as again this happens, the Force sort of in this moment, it overtakes you. And you feel this echo resonate through your body. Again, we still hear the way that Nara heard the children, and the peacefulness and the kindness and the joy. You still hear that. But it's weird for you because yours is muted. Imagine like hearing it underwater. I feel like that's what you're currently experiencing. So can you give me a memory with your master?
So I think even though this place is so tranquil, that the memory that is conjured up for Javik is not a wholly positive memory. And we see, I think, a strange jungle planet that is a myriad of colors. They're vibrant and bright. Things have pattern to them. The plant life everywhere is lush and oversized. And amongst the undergrowth, kind of beneath the canopy of these enormous plants, we see Javik and his master running. And we run up to one of these trees, duck behind it, and lean against it, both catching our breath. And Master Jai Kaval turns, this Togruta man. We must stop them. But we have to get away. I don't know what's wrong. The clones should not be doing this. This is wrong. All of it is wrong. Javik is just kind of panting heavily, trying to catch his breath. You have to go on your own. I will slow them down. And Javik kind of reaches up to say no, to contradict this decree, before he can really say anything, he's so out of breath, Master Jivakal turns and runs back towards the direction they had run from. And that's the last that he saw of his master.
Okay. So when you touched this, I imagine that this is how it works. You see a figure, a Jedi, faceless, but Twi'lek. And they guard this other child figure, just guarding and protecting. And you see, what color would Jai's lightsaber have been, please?
I think it would have been green.
Yeah, that signature green color. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you see Jai's signature green lightsaber come out of the hand of this Twi'lek. And that etched figure just protecting a young boy, guarding over him like all good Jedi should.
I think we see Javik's face, eyes closed and somewhat contorted again, mirroring the way it looked previously whenever he was attempting to meditate. And this time his eyes just close tighter, and we see the tears that have welled up in his eyes just run freely down his cheeks.
There's a long pause for your emotion. I think everyone in the room sort of allows that to happen. And then again, the limestone obelisk takes another quarter turn. Squid, this white canvas is looking back at you probably as blankly as you were staring at it.
Yeah, there's maybe like an awkward amount of time that passes between Javik's image becoming emblazoned across this canvas and Squid standing and looking at it. Squid is a smart creature. He understands what's happening here. He knows what these images are, and he knows what image is going to be displayed upon this obelisk before he even steps forward, and so he hesitates because he doesn't want to see it. But he feels driven to in a way that he hasn't in a long time, and so he steps forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with these other Force users, eases out a sigh, his face tentacles quivering as he does so, and he will reach out with his strange three-fingered hand and touch this obelisk.
As you touch the obelisk, Squid, what is a memory with your master that is immediately evoked when you touch this obelisk?
Squid is back in the hangar of the Venator class Star Destroyer he served on during the Clone Wars, and like he spent much of the time he's shoulder deep in an ARC 170 fighter, trying to fix a loose power coupling, and he's calling back to this pit droid. I need the the eighth spanner, the 1/8-inch spanner. Come on. And the pit droid is handing him tools through the sort of open engine port. And then he'll hear a voice say, "You always were better with ships and droids than you were with people." And he sort of emerges and sees his master, Amantha Thulu. She is a human woman with these sort of intricate tattoos across one half of her face that go all the way down her left arm, the custom of her planet. She's standing there in her robes, her scuffed Jedi armor, with kind of this wry smile on her face. It's been several months since they've seen each other. Squid kind of wipes the engine grease off on his Jedi robes, and then comes forward and embraces his old master. She holds him out at arm's length. "You're looking well, strong. Have you seen combat?" "Here and there." "Well, you look fit." "Thanks." She tells him a few stories. They catch up, and eventually they hear marching feet. There's this silence that kind of falls over the two of them as they reminisce, and then both of them go silent at the same time. "Do you feel," Squid says. "Yes," his master says. Blaster fire erupts from the other end of the hangar, and Master Amantha Thulo basically barely gets her lightsaber out in time to begin deflecting blaster shots. The clones march forward in a line, raining just hundreds of blue blaster bolts at these Jedi. She deflects all that she can, but she takes one in the shoulder, one in the leg. She goes and takes a knee. Squid goes for his saber. The yellow blade ignites, and he holds it up. She looks to him. "Go," she says. "This is not the time." He disengages the lightsaber. He grabs Pitt, hops into the cockpit of the ARC 170. And as he's screaming out of this hangar as fast as possible, blaster shots trailing him, the last thing he sees is his former master deflecting blaster shots, hurling clones with the power of the Force. But she goes down. She hits the plating of the hangar, and the clones keep shooting. The only good Jedi is a dead Jedi now. And as the turbo lasers lance out from the Star Destroyer, the very Star Destroyer that Squid has lived on for the better part of 2 years, as it cuts out the left engine and then the right one, and as Squid spirals into the atmosphere of the planet they're hovering over, he knows that nothing will ever be the same again.
Matt, that was wonderful. So, Matt, I've been describing kind of the images that come from the limestone as it's being touched. But I feel like in that moment, if you could describe to me, because I don't know what is best in this scenario, could you describe to me what image you think comes up here? I will give one caveat that if you notice, almost every image of that has been presented has been some form of a child plus Jedi.
Yeah, so I think that, we've seen two young Padawans, and then the third image was a master protecting those Padawans. And so I think the fourth image is maybe like a sort of crude representation of these almost like skeletal, like skull-faced figures evoking the clone troopers, and they're sort of, there's like a line of them sort of like cave drawing or like hieroglyphic style sort of marching toward this Jedi that is standing in front of the two Padawans protecting them.
Perfect. So it gives a very sort of ominous feel. But when Squid touches it, there's still, I think, this peace. You know, like I feel like there's this piece still in the air. And as all four pieces kind of come together and we see this story that has now been emblazoned on this obelisk, the obelisk sinks. Down, down, down. And you see that that it becomes a walkway. Each piece now becomes stairs as you begin to look deeper and deeper down into the hole. You're muted, Matt.
I sure am. Squid just shudders as he relives that memory again. And as the obelisk sinks down, his hand instinctively goes for that blaster at his belt. He looks to the others. I assume this is what we came for.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's perfect time. If you guys would like to do any final things before we take our break, feel free to speak up now. Otherwise, I think this is actually like a perfect time before you guys go into the temple for us to take maybe 5-10 minutes, do a little bio break, and then come on back. And thank you guys, all of you guys out there watching, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight and being a part of this. I'm having a blast so far. This is my first time running HyperspaceD6 and doing a Star Wars game in general, but it is phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for just, I feel like I just need to push the play button and like let it ride, because just you guys make it really easy. So thank you.
Sorry, I realized I didn't have a splash screen. I'm adding an image right now, so we can have something up while we're taking our break.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Feel
That's
free
perfect.
to step away.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're back. Chad, take it
Alright.
away.
Sweet. Okay. So last we left, our intrepid Jedi had found the entrance to the Jedi Temple of Dissa. You now look down into this spiraling staircase. Which one of you would like to go first?
I don't think Nara hesitates. She would go first.
Awesome. Nara, it's dark in here. There are not a lot of lights for the immediate, at least right now, as you're going down this staircase. It's kind of very tight knit walls. But as you go down, you start to feel the walls. And again, very similarly, there is artwork etched into the walls. Not the force or magical sort of way that it was before, but this has been here. These are Jedi relics of long ago. As you go down, you kind of see a history of Dissa, essentially. This beautiful, lush place. And you see these Jedi protecting this sacred planet in ways. And you see, I would like to think a mountain at some point as you're coming down these stairs. You see this mountain. And inside that mountain, you see a very iconic symbol to Star Wars lore. You see a Kyber crystal etched into the stone of this grand wall as you reach the bottom of the stairs. So there's this mountain and there's this Kyber crystal that looks to be etched into the wall. But you also hear what sounds like voices in the room as you're coming down the stairs. You hear this sort of crackling of I want to say it sounds like static, but it's in your head. You know, as you move in, it's a beautiful, beautiful temple on the inside. But you can see where countless Jedi have possibly lived here, studied here. There is some age and some real growth to this place. After a time, you're probably the first down here, but you hear it. It's a transmission signal. It sounds something like, Jedi, long have I waited. The order was carried out, and I had to do what I must. You can't quite get it until you get to the middle of the room. So you are the first to hear it. Jedi, my name is KUNA PAVAN. I was a foster, a surrogate for young Padawans that were lost amongst the galaxy. I want to ask for your aid. The order will be upon us any day. And I do not know how long I have. And it sort of repeats as you stand there. You get to the middle of the room and you see that it is a data log. As the data log plays, I imagine that all four of you now are down in this this space. I had to leave this temple. The order was pressing far too much. But I need your help. I was hoping that someone would come. Inside this temple lies a relic that I have kept for a long time. I ask of you to take it. Keep it away from the order. Do not let them have it. And follow it. I trained a great many Padawan in my day. And you can see that this creature that is talking, he's a Keldor. He's a Keldor Jedi. But he seems very concerned. I had to send them off into different parts of the galaxy. I couldn't protect them here. And now I fear that the Empire is upon us even more. So I will lock this away. I will hide this temple from their eyes. But I need you to hide those children from their gaze. I do not know where all are, but I know where one is. The relic should help you. If you find her, well, I hope that she provides hope for the Jedi to come. And then it cuts out.
You mentioned some kind of order, pressing in, getting closer. What was he talking about? What order?
Empire, Inquisitors. What does this mean? This isn't the end of the journey. This is just the beginning.
Matt, as you say that, you sort of look to the walls of this place. And just like the obelisk from above, you notice that this is Kuda, and perhaps many masters before him, had engraved this temple with statues and with artwork all around it. Not a single solitary flat surface. But all of it represents guardians. This was a temple for guardians of Padawans. And so you see countless images of Padawan children being trained to be Jedi, being protected, being cared for. And of course, behind you, the mountain that towers through Dissa with its core of a kyber crystal sitting in the center. You could, all of you can do what you like as far as like investigating or looking around the room if you'd like. But for right now, that is what you see, and that is the message that you are receiving from Master Pavan.
The message you mentioned, it was like a data log that was sort of playing.
It is a data log that is sort of like almost like not necessarily a holocron, but it's a data log that has been set up, kind of like how the pucks that they have, like sitting in the middle of the room and playing this log, and it just keeps repeating. You can see it's kind of static because it's been there for some time now.
Right. I'd probably be drawn to that. It's like probably one of the only pieces of like visible technology in the room, and so I take Pitt off my back and I sort of do like a almost like opening an umbrella, but I sort of shake him and his like legs and arms go and his little spindly self drops down to the ground, and a little light on his head turns on, and he sort of looks around with this light flashing, and he sticks close by me as I move up to check out that data log. I probably won't be able to discern anything else with it, but I at least want to take it with us.
Yeah. Matt, when you touch the data log, the signal goes out. But the one thing you kept hearing as he mentioned it was some sort of a relic is within this temple. And it will help you in a way.
Yeah, so I grabbed the puck and after kind of giving it a once over and just seeing that it's a fairly mundane sort of communications device, I tuck that away into one of my many belt pouches, and then I look to the others. Kuda kept mentioning a relic. Does that mean anything to anyone?
Can I have any of you please roll me a let's see here, what would be the most relevant? Can I have you roll me either a sense check, or is there something for like history, or
there's like just like base knowledge.
okay.
But there's like planets, streetwise, xenology. Like if it's something alien, if it's something that has to do with the planet itself.
Okay. Yeah. Since it's a Jedi option, I think I will have. Well, actually, can I have all of you roll your search, please? Since you're looking for something specific, it kind of fits that you would be looking throughout the temple for something.
It's an 8 total
So
for me.
I got a 16 with a 6 on my destiny die.
Ooh, okay, cool. So we got a 16 with a 6.
I'm gonna let Jeff roll everything.
And then you got an 18, Matt?
No, I got an 8.
Oh,
Ignore
an 8.
me.
Okay,
I didn't find anything.
8. Okay.
I'm looking at this data puck like it's important. Everyone else is looking for stuff that actually matters.
Jeremy, what did you get?
I got a 9, but I also got a 1 on my destiny die.
Okay, 9 and a 1. Okay, thank you. And then, Karen.
Okay, I haven't rolled yet because I have the burden wounded,
Okay.
picked perception as the attribute. So we haven't
Okay.
rolled for that yet.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that right now.
That is perfectly fine.
Okay, I rolled a 4, so
Okay.
we're good. Okay. So now I'm
Okay.
gonna, 13 on
Okay.
a search.
All right. So, Taylor, you believe you know what Pavan was talking about. You have heard of these relics. You're not exactly sure what it could be, but you know of Jedi holocrons. You know that the Kyber crystals are also highly important. You've also heard of Sith wayfinders and Jedi compasses. And I imagine that you're the first to kind of pick up on it. As you look around the walls and you look around and you see that mountain along the far wall, as it illuminates to the light of, I imagine that Pit's probably just plopping around the space.
Yeah, he sticks close to me, but he's like moving his
Weaving
little
and
headlamp
bobbing
all
his
over the
head.
place.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's an occasional, unless you light your lightsaber, there's not a lot of physical light in this room. It's not open to outside of the circle in the middle of the room that as you came down when the stairs kind of folded out, there's no real light source in here. But you see kind of what looks to be something of of indentations on the back of the wall, but they seem to be sort of in a sporadic formation.
As Talar is just kind of walking around the room, like slowly and measured, but just kind of seeing what he can, he'll kind of take a look at these indentations across the wall, and he'll walk up towards one of them, whichever is closest, kind of like put a hand up next to it to feel at it to kind of see if there's any sort of pattern to these markings, how deep the indentation goes, if it looks like you could put something in there, or if there's any sort of hint at what they might be.
So as you get closer, Jeff, you especially, since you rolled an extra 6 on your destiny die, you see that whoever had done these carvings intentionally made this room as a source of astrogation and navigation. These are constellations. These are pinpoints of interest amongst the Jedi and amongst the galaxy. There are about 6 specific spots, all sort of scattered about. But there's multiple other smaller holes, but these 6 stand out to you. They have nothing. They have nothing currently in them, but they kind of, you feel this. You feel something telling you that this might be a way.
These indentations, they're coordinates of some sort. Light charts, astrogation charts. Been carved here on purpose. Seem to be some sort of set of important points for the Jedi. At least the one who made them here.
it can't lead us to the relic. He said the relic was here.
Maybe it leads to the children.
Or maybe this is the relic?
Mm.
Maybe we're inside of it.
All these
But he says we
stupid riddles.
Listen, you say this is a star chart. Maybe we can cross-reference it with the data in the Navicomputer on the Siren. I might be able to transmit an image back to Ace and see what he can come up with. It's worth a shot, at least.
Javik, as you say this, and you are now very discouraged. You're discouraged, and yet you are sitting in a iconic Jedi temple. Why is it that you have such a distaste in your mouth? You don't know. But then you hear and you feel it. That sense of calm you had above, all of you had above, you have a sense of dread overcome you. In this room, you feel this drawing force of anger. And you hear small, subtle comments. You can't quite make out the words, but it's a voice trying to call to you. You definitely hear your name. Javukta, where are you?
Shouldn't have come here. This was a bad mistake. This is a waste of time. We need to get out of here.
No, don't leave. Stay.
We need to. We've opened this place. The place is crawling with clone troopers. They're going to find it, and they're going to come down here and trap all of us, and then we're gonna die. They're going to.
Hey. It's all right, kid. We're together. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
How can you say that?
It would ease your mind. Go up, keep watch. This place is having an effect on you.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea.
Hey, take Pitt with you. He's not much of a conversationalist, but at least you'll have some company.
Come on. He says almost like a small child that would tag along.
I don't know why, but I just imagine like Pitt like reaches for your hand to like hold it, and you just kind of like smack it away.
Stop. Cut out.
As Javik leaves, I look at Taylor and Nara. Something's getting to him. I thought getting off the ship would help, but coming in here has only made it worse.
He has a restless spirit to him. I can feel the worrying of his mind.
Well, I don't know what to make of all of this, but the kid was right. We don't have much time. Sooner or later, the stormtroopers are going to find this place.
So, let's see. Who got... Yeah. Okay. Nara. You were the other that rolled high enough, I think, to be perceptive enough to see it. You start putting two and two together. These You see the kyber crystal in the mountain, and then these pieces. Something compels you, but if you would, please roll me a d6.
I got a 3.
Okay, fantastic. So you put something compels you, and for a minute you sit down on the stone floor. Everything goes quiet. Again, you hear those same sounds of children sparring, laughing, enjoying, and you begin to disassemble your lightsaber. Just for a brief moment, you open the center console of the lightsaber, the hilt, and inside is that kyber crystal that you mentioned, that blue one. You pull it out. And maybe you don't know. And I'm thinking maybe if you needed additional guidance, Taylor might move you in that direction. Because he rolled that 6, so it helps kind of pinpoint your direction. But you take that blue kyber crystal and you slide it into the third slot on the wall. At that point, the limestone slab, the kyber crystal etching, turns blue. And then the floor in front of you, like a semicircle, begins to just on a haunted house, if there's like a hidden doorway and it spins and swivels, that wall moves. And the floor brings this, what looks like a pendant. It stops. What looks like a pendant at your feet.
Anara would bend down and pick up this pendant that has now appeared on the floor.
Yeah.
Almost reverently.
Yeah. Jeff, before you kind of knew things, you kind of saw what was happening, but you didn't know how to put the pieces together. But with Karen's aid and with your high perception of that 6, you know what this is now. You know what relic he was hiding. You are now, all 4 of you, are in charge of a Jedi compass. But as this is all happening, what is the reaction in the room?
Squid is at a loss for words, sort of stuttering, and then he points. Is that what I think it is?
And Nara would turn with it towards Master Taylor. What is this?
That is a Jedi compass.
Jeff, if you take it in your hand, you feel some weight to that force. There is something there. And he mentioned, Pavan had mentioned a girl. He had mentioned a child. And that's, I think, when this happens. Yeah. You hold it in your hand. And you begin to experience a flashback for a short moment. But it's also because the echo that you feel is also echoed in real time. You begin to hear a rumble from above. So please tell me of a small flashback of something that was where you were in a firefight. Some sort of trauma that you endured during your time as a Jedi.
Yeah, Talar will hear this rumble and like feel it in that way that you can feel that deep shake in your chest. And for that brief moment, his eyes will close, and he'll hear immediately following, just like as like an explosion will erupt from a huge like blaster cannon that'll hit just nearby. Talar will grab this young boy, this Padawan that he's been training, forcibly by the arm, like pulling him away, like just in time, where this like cannon blast was nearly about to hit him. It's like other clone troopers will like go scattering, screams roaring out, immediate commands going. As we can see, the flashback from before now kind of moving through the peaceful undertone into the dark one, as this planet that they had been on during the Clone Wars war has erupted out. We can see the like synchronized of battle droids like marching, firing off. As more droid tanks will like crest over the top of a hill, preparing. Talar's eyes will go wide at like this massive artillery onslaught that's like come over this place. And he'll yell to his Padawan to follow him, to run, as carnage will like completely erupt on this battleground. And you can see in his Padawan's eyes just this like shock of fear in the way that only someone's like first battlefield experience can be, and like try his best to like shield the Padawan from further combat, knowing that he's not yet ready to fight, not an army of that size at least, but knowing that at this point he's experienced something that can never be unfelt, and it will be a difficult conversation to have after they flee, and they will have to flee to his own disappointment before they like be back in this room with this Jedi compass, kind of the shock of warfare spilling over him for a moment.
Yeah. So as you break out of a cold sweat after holding this compass, we're going to move up to Jeremy for a moment. Javik, you and Pitt decided to go upstairs. You go back to the surface, and immediately they have not spotted your ship, but they are definitely nearby. You hear the I think they're not looking at the ground. They're not trying to come down the stairs, but they are just off the distance, probably to the left side of this cliff face, right? Where you guys came in, to the left side of this cliff face. And you hear two stormtroopers just kind of arguing to each other. How long do you think that Thrawn's going to have us searching this godforsaken planet? I don't know. I have no idea. If we don't find something soon, he's going to have our heads.
Javik, who had been kind of distractingly walking kind of out of this temple, whenever he hears the kind of telltale resonance of kind of their voices in these helmets, he comes up short and kind of puts his hand out reflexively kind of down towards Pitt to cause him to kind of stop. And his hand immediately goes to the handle of the lightsaber that hangs from his belt. And he waits and listens and kind of presses himself flat up against the wall of the rock face nearby and just kind of listens.
Right. You hear the two as you're now eavesdropping on them. You hear a comm link. Maybe you don't hear exactly what's being said. Confirm, Commander. Will do. What now? They're moving the cannon into position. This mountain won't be here for long. And they start to kind of begin a patrol around this mountain. They're getting close to you, but I don't think they've noticed you currently.
Do I think it's possible to retreat back into the temple from where I'm hiding?
You certainly could. You certainly could. But in order to do so, I'm going to need you to roll your stealth, good sir.
Okay.
Because I need you to be, stealth.
Okay. Before I do so, I'm going to reach down nearby and pull a small piece of limestone, just like a couple of inches in any direction, and use the force to manipulate it up into the air and then throw it kind of out and away from me.
And in very stormtrooper fashion, it'll depend on what you roll for your stealth, but in very stormtrooper fashion, they will react.
Do you need to have an altar roll at all?
If you want, do. No, I don't think I'll need the altar roll for. Okay. Oh well, actually, you know what? I will because I need to make sure it's accurate. Because if you end up hitting one of them, it'll give it away. If you, so.
Okay. If you're looking for altar, that is going to be an 8.
Okay.
And then stealth. Much better. That's a 12.
Okay. So you are hidden, but because you were compromised from earlier, I will say that because you were compromised from earlier, your focus is not there. And you go to fling this rock in the opposite direction, diverting the stormtrooper's gaze, and you ping, clank the rock off of the helmet. Hey, what was that? I don't know. This place is making me jumpy. Look, you go that way. I'll go this way. The more ground we can cover, the better. So he is definitely distracted, but he is going to go the opposite direction. And the guy who he was talking to is going to follow toward yours. But you are currently hidden.
Did I manage to get back inside the temple?
You managed to get back inside the temple. You are currently hidden. Yeah.
Perfect. I will have probably just scooped up Pitt and just hit him on the top of the head to deactivate him. And I'm just
squash him down.
Yeah, I've just got him kind of like tucked under my arm, and I'm just kind of like running down these this kind of stairs or these ramps to get back inside the temple.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, now we ramp up. You hear the whirring like some sort of cannon, some sort of beam is consistently blasting into this cliff face.
We have a situation.
What's going on?
There's some kind of cannon or something. They're gonna bring this mountain down on top of us. I hate to say it, but I was right. This was a mistake.
We already have what we need. We'll be okay.
We're not walking away empty-handed, kid. Let's get out of here.
All right. So, obviously, there was... No, you're good. Karen, if you want to...
I was just going to say, yeah, Nara turns to go back up the stairs, and then she remembers her crystal.
Yep. So it's only like half turned. When it did turn, you can see that like it would have led into further parts of the temple potentially, but you can take your crystal out easily because the wall is not. You can still pass through that space. So yeah, you could easily take it back out. But when you do take it out, you got to be quick because it begins to shift back. Okay, so you quickly, as quickly as you can, you work to put together your lightsaber again, just really quickly popping the kyber crystal back into place, closing the handle, and all four of you begin to head up away from this place.
Over the comm, I tell Ace to power up the engines, basically prep the siren for quick takeoff.
We may have company at the top of these stairs.
As you say that, Javik, you there are obviously you were stealthy earlier, so no one has really seen this temple. However, you can hear stormtroopers below. You can hear the rigs moving this cannon into place, this drill of sorts, this laser drill basically into place, and just as it continues to berate the limestone.
Just like the Empire, they can't find a way in, so they make their own.
More of a way out that I'm worried about right now.
How many are going to be there?
Yeah, you you look out. I think Javik is probably the first one out because you came down last. So Javik, you come out, and then who else would be behind him?
I think Talar would be pretty hot on his heels.
Taylor would be
Wanted to make
pretty
sure
out.
that he
Yep,
can
absolutely.
be
So
point.
you tuck away that Jedi compass, right? And you run out there, and I think it's a really nice juxtaposition having the one that is the most fearful to the one that is most calm right next to each other. And you look out, and like there were 3 Star Destroyers above. So there are countless little encampments that have kind of like started to make their due. They are making this a mining operation, and they are going to be sitting here. So you see a bunch of stormtroopers kind of just making their rounds, doing their jobs, just little bits and pieces. But for all intents and purposes, they're going to continue doing what they're doing. They have not spotted you yet, but it is highly likely that they could if you're not careful.
I will do what I can to distract them. We must be quick to the ship. Stay unseen. Don't make noise. Only fight if it's for your life.
They have to take everything?
It's what they do.
I like press my hand into this compass that Taylor is carrying, and I say, "Not everything." Chad, I want to do like a cursory glance over the sort of expanse of stormtroopers. I just want to make sure that there's not any sort of like AA gun that's gonna pop us like as soon as we take off.
So I'm not the anti-air guns.
Yeah.
No, you don't see that.
Okay.
These stormtroopers, the stormtroopers that are here, the sort of this is specifically a mining mission.
Okay,
right?
cool.
They were not intending on having to do anti-aircraft, but they do have, you were right though, they do have patrols still going around in TIE fighters. So
Okay.
you do see TIE fighters above, occasionally doing scopes around to just keep track of everything, make sure everybody's going about their business. No one's coming in. And then obviously the ominous trifecta of Star Destroyers that are far out in the galaxy.
Yeah,
above and looming.
I go ahead and let Ace know to go ahead and power up the quad laser turrets as well on the Siren, just in case we have to blast our way out of here. And I nod to Taylor as he sort of dishes out these orders and repeat, "No fighting unless we have to."
Yeah.
On my count, be ready. And Tyler will kind of and shut his eyes. And for a moment, the disturbance of everything will kind of dull in his mind as he reaches out to connect to the Force. And I would, if I could, would like to try to use, I think it would be control. I'd like to basically force cloak us to like let us mind trick and like walk past these guards to get to our ship undetected.
That is beautiful. Yes, you can certainly do that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and spend one of my handy dandy force points to give me a nice little bonus on this roll. really good. So that's going to be 25, as Talar will expend a force point to double the roll, take in a deep breath, and then like just put out a hand and nod to the others.
I mean, do you just want to, get an instant cartography map of every like hidden alcove of this this entire base? Because that's beautiful. Yeah. So for all intensive purposes, all of you feel this wave wash over you. Talar, in this moment, is cloaking all of you in this sort of force.
There will be this absurd moment where Talar will just like with his hand up, just like begin walking towards one of the camps. I imagine there's that moment of like that everybody will have, but then like they'll just like look, but they'll like see, even though he's there, they'll see nothing, and they'll just kind of like nod, incline his head to the rest of you to like go on ahead while he sort of shields them with the force.
Yeah. So I think there's this acknowledgement. Would you be visible to them then if you're the one doing it, or are you also kind of? I mean, I guess you're visible, but you're not, being an.
I think it's like one of those things where like they just like by chance always happen to be looking where we're not. Like if I'm over here, then they hear a sound from one of their friends that calls them that way, and we can like walk just like this insanity of coincidence happenstance that just always happens to bring people's eyes just away from us as we walk by.
Slightly out of vision. Perfect all the time. Yeah. So you guys can easily make your way down to your ship if you'd like, or if you want to continue like looking at what they're doing, you can certainly do that as well. I'm not gonna like force your hand. Okay. But yeah,
we're out of here.
We're out of here. Okay. So you've got what you came for. You're out of here. You get to your ship. Ace has currently done exactly what you need him to do, albeit he's a small droid, and this is the Siren, so there could be some hiccups, but it's there. It's alive. It's good. He's ready. He's got the gangplank down, ready to go.
As we get back on the ship, Talar will kind of like let out a sigh as if he'd been carrying like a heavy weight that he's now been able to like toss off.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was quite an expenditure of the force he would have to use to shield everybody.
Yeah,
and he'll just kind of like sit down in one of the chairs, clearly kind of wiped out, and let his allies take it from there.
Squid kind of comes up and like squeezes your shoulder, Talar. Like it's been some time since he's seen someone wield the force in such a way, and so he just has this like impressed sort of expression on his squid-like face. That compass that we have, Chad, is that something that I can interface with our Navicomputer so we can like figure out where we need to go?
It is an ancient piece, but very much like a Sith wayfinder.
Yeah, can I like jury rig a little?
Same well. It would. So very much like how the Sith wayfinder finds its way to Exegol, right? This Jedi compass, whatever coordinates it was given, it will find its way to that coordinate.
Okay.
So if you interfaced it, it would certainly do that.
Okay, cool. So I think we'll deal with that after we get off the planet. So in the chat we were talking, Chad, we want to like take off and basically fly to the far side of the planet. Like basically don't leave the atmosphere until we put a planet between us and the Star Destroyers in orbit.
Good idea.
And then figure out where we need to jump to. So
okay, cool.
And I'm heading towards the cockpit, and I look at Javik and Nara, and I say, either of you ever manned gun turrets before?
I'm not all that great of a shot with them, but I'm willing to try.
Yeah, it's real easy. You just point and pull the trigger. We need one in each of them just in case.
I'd rather have something to do.
Right. I'll be in the cockpit. You two on the guns. I look to Master Taylor and say, take a nap, I guess?
Talar will let out a light chuckle. Like, it's clear that he wants to be more active in that. He feels some responsibility to like do something, but yeah, he's pretty worn out. He'll let the younger Jedi take point in the ship. He's not much of a pilot or a gunner anyway.
So I head up to the cockpit. I give Ace a quick pat and sit down in the co-pilot's seat, and I say, all right, real easy, Ace. We're going to the far side of the planet before we leave atmosphere. Fly casual. And I want to take off, and we're probably going to get shot at as soon as we take off, but we're going to try and make it to the far side of the planet here.
Okay, sweet. What do we got then, man?
Oh, I'm just gonna fly.
Oh, okay.
I so power up the engines, take off.
Yep.
I've got Javik and Nara on the guns in case we come up with any ties.
Okay.
But basically, I want to just as fast as the sublights will go, I want to get us to the other side of the planet before.
Oh no, that's
leave
fine.
Atmo.
So let me see what I need you to roll then. If you need to roll to avoid being seen, can I have you guys roll me, or Matt specifically? Can you roll me either a pilot or a stealth check? I'll allow both because it depends on how you're flying.
I'm equally bad at both, so I will go ahead and do the
Well,
pilot.
I mean, yeah.
And I will, if possible, I'll have Ace help me out with an additional die, if that's cool.
That is okay. Yep.
Okay,
that
great.
is okay.
That'll give me 3.
The better pilot of the two.
That's something. Oh!
Okay, what do we got?
So I got 2 6s on my normal dice and a 1 on my destiny die.
Okay.
So total of 13, but a 1 on the destiny die.
All right, buddy. So here's how this goes. You do exactly what you wanted to do.
Great. That's awesome. Nothing else beyond
hold on.
that.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's the problem with that 1 there, buddy. You think, for all intents and purposes, sweet, I'm on the opposite side of the planet. There's not a single stormtrooper. There's not a TIE fighter in sight. We're good. And then, yeah. While all of you have been dealing with things on the ground, they have been maneuvering these ships from above. So I believe here's how it goes, right? Here's how it goes. You are sitting there right above the, like right near the atmosphere, or maybe just right outside of it. And you think you're safe. There's this calm moment that goes over you. You're like, yes, I did it. This hunk of junk stayed together. And then you hear a transmission come in on your ship. Are you going to answer it?
No.
Yes,
I will. Yeah, I will answer.
Yeah. All right. The calm comes over. I am quite impressed with you. What is your name?
You called me. Who is this?
This? You do not get out much in the galaxy, do you? I am Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I kill the comm. Ace, we gotta plot a jump out of here. This guy's got a beat on us, and we gotta go.
Even though you kill the comm,
I just hung up on Grand Admiral Thrawn, you guys.
he he looks to he's actually gonna call you back. He's gonna try
This
and
guy's
do another
star 6-9 in my ass. What the hell?
No, hold on. Here's why. Are you gonna answer again or no?
No, I'm fighting hyperspace jump.
No.
I'm leaving.
Right, sweet. Okay, that's perfect. He's a little miffed, and you can, like, obviously you guys are not seeing this, but he looks to his right. Lieutenant Commander Vanta, I do not know who those folks are. They are very interesting. Jedi, I'm assuming. Their skills are far better than I expected. What should we do, Commander? No. Do not worry about them. If anything, they have done us a great service. What? Shouldn't we go after them? No. You see, I understand what they're on. I hate you guys. But I understand what they're doing. They're doing exactly what we planned to do, and if I'm right, they have succeeded in their mission. Let them go. But please, set a course to wherever they are going. I wish to know their movements, who they are, and why. Yes, Commander. The next time I see that ship, they will not escape again. And he lets his ship is just hanging there in front of you, Matt. His ship is right above you. For all intents and purposes, you are free to go. At least you think.
Okay, so we've got this compass thing, and I need to figure out how to sort of interface it with the Navicomputer.
Yes, you will.
So I want to do that, but in the meantime, I turn to Ace and I say, keep us on a steady course away from that Star Destroyer. Angle our deflector shields to aft. Any TIE fighters come after us, I say on the comm, blast them. And I'm going to try and interface this ancient relic with the Navicomputer.
Do it. I'm very happy about this.
Would that be a computers check, maybe?
That would be a computers check.
Cool.
Or,
That's what I'm best at.
Or you can use astrogation.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Why? Why would you do that when you have a better skill?
All right. Oh, I got a 6 on my destiny die. Okay, so that is gonna be 19 total with a 6 on the destiny die.
Lee buckets. Okay, so Matt, here's the deal. He said that you will not encrew. Like Thrawn has told people, let them go. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not gonna tail you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not gonna fire at you. So you begin to take off. Okay? You begin to take off out of the atmosphere. You bank near this chimera. You bank near the chimera, and it is this ominous ship. But for the most part, you're not being shot at. And that is an unsettling feeling because you should be shot at right now.
I have a feeling this thing might be more valuable to him intact. It's a boon in our favor, I say as I'm like plugging wires into it.
Right. You're like doing all the tech to it. And
It's basically like I'm trying to get a Super Nintendo to work with like a plasma TV. I'm like, I gotta find a converter cable.
Yes.
Like component
Okay.
to HDMI. I don't know what's going on
Now
here.
let's see what because I have a thing really quickly. Yep. All right, cool. So we rolled a 3, I believe, right, Karen? You rolled a 3 earlier in the temple?
Yep.
Okay, then I know exactly where this goes.
So cool.
Yeah. So I had already made a plan on to have a D6 where whatever crystal was put in where, that is a coordinate. So I know exactly what planet we will go to next. That being said, Matt, as you are flying out of this place, you're getting ready to go into hyperspace. You see the tail of a number of different TIE fighters. They just zooming out of the Star Destroyer. About 3 or 4 of them are just tailing you at this point.
I look on the sensors. Looks like we've caught some tag-alongs. If they get close enough, we'll blast them. But luckily, we have hyperdrive, and they don't. I'm almost done translating these coordinates here.
Jump to somewhere else first, in a different direction if you can. It'll be harder for them to track us through hyperspace if we shift gears.
That'll put a lot of strain on the hyperdrive.
Do you think it'll handle it?
If it doesn't, I'll fix it.
All right. Do it to it.
So I bring up like a saved hyperlane sort of coordinate to a nearby planet. Basically going like Jeff is suggesting, like do a dog leg situation where we jump somewhere and then jump from there using the Jedi compass, basically so they can't track us. So I pull up some old coordinates and reach forward on the dash, and I push that like hyperdrive lever forward.
Yep. So now you have gone out into hyperspace one time. Would you like to go again?
Yeah, it's just a short little jump,
Yep.
over to the next system. So I pull the lever back. We come back into real space, and then I've got that Jedi compass. I plug in the coordinates. I look at Ace, and I say, "Let's punch it." I push the thing again, and we go into hyperspace towards those coordinates on the compass.
Okay, sweet. So here's how this goes. You are still hanging in hyperspace. You have not made it to the destination yet. But this is how I will explain it. We cut to a roaring crowd. The sounds of drums and like I imagine like a synth whatever the equivalent of synth guitar would be in Star Wars universe. I imagine that's probably playing in this space. We pan down to this arena that this crowd is looking onto. And in the center, there are countless bounty hunters, droideka, different enemies just coming out of these portcullis from this arena. But this Jedi keeps just blocking everything, breaking everything. And suddenly, all the pieces stop, all of the people stop. And the blade stops, and we hold a camera on the hand and the blade. A blue hand grips a red blade. As we pan up, and the face of a lithe chiss female stands in this arena, blade in hand, covered in the gore of her enemies. And the crowd is roaring. And that is where we will end tonight. Thank you guys so much. I am very, very excited for next week. This is going to be awesome. Cannot wait. Matt, thank you so much, buddy, for allowing me to host and run these games on your channel. God, this is an honor and a privilege. To everybody, thank you for being wonderful players and just going along for this ride with me. First time for everything, and man, I feel like this was a successful first time. As far as where you guys can find me, I'm over at my own channel usually, or on a number of other channels amongst all these wonderful people. But to close out, if you guys would like outro or kind of like mid travel outro for your characters, you certainly can do such. Or if we just want to go to closing statements for the night, that's perfectly fine too.
I think just the final image for Squid would be him sort of sitting back in that seat, just breathing a sigh of relief. And Corrin don't sweat, but he mimics humans sort of mopping sweat from their brow. He looks at that Jedi compass, sort of shaking his head in disbelief at this thing sort of blinking and whirring on the console plugged in to his navicomputer. He reaches for the blaster at his side and pulls it out of its holster, holding it in his hands. He looks at the compass, looks at the blaster. There's a flurry of movement as he makes a few adjustments, and as his hands move away from this blaster, you see that it's been reconfigured into a hilt, a lightsaber hilt. He nods and tucks it back into its holster, again taking up the weapon of a Jedi. He's in too deep now to turn back.
I think we see Javik back in the same place where we first saw him, trying to meditate once again. And he's running into this same issue. His face is further contorted than it was before. And we see again just these tears form at the corners of his eyes and run down. And after a moment, he opens his eyes, and there's just the barest hint of kind of red and gold in his eyes.
I think maybe we see Nara watching Javik. She doesn't see the eye thing. She's standing behind him, but she's watching him uneasy. And if you don't mind, Jeff, she turns to Master Taylor. I'm worried. I think he needs to work out his aggression. This meditation you have him trying does not seem to be helping.
Yes, the boy has concerns, doubts in the power of the Jedi and their mission, fear that there is no purpose left to fight for. And feel it stirring within him. The Jedi practices meditation. They're tools, but they're not an easy fix. It'll take more than that for him to figure it out. I hope he can. That's not for me to decide. I can offer my words, but they're only words. We can only support and hope that he comes to the right conclusion. Cannot make him be what we want him to be. Even for Jedi, that is not within our purview.
I hope he chooses well.
Me too. Me too.
All right, I'm just giving one more moment for anything that needs to be said. And then I think otherwise than that is going to be calling it a night. This was insanity. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to episode 2. Look forward to seeing what other shenanigans and lightsaber loveliness is going to ensue. Can't wait. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and we shall see you later.